Ever heard of a barbarian group so notorious their name became a synonym for destruction? We're talking about the Vandals, of course. But what if I told you their story is far more than just mindless chaos? What if they were master mariners, shrewd politicians, and the founders of a powerful, century-long kingdom in the heart of the Roman Empire? This is the story of how a wandering Germanic tribe crossed frozen rivers, trekked across Europe, sailed to Africa, and built a pirate kingdom that brought Rome to its knees. Our story begins not in Africa, but on the frozen banks of the Rhine River, on the last night of the year 406 AD. A coalition of Germanic peoples, including the Vandals, crossed the icy river into Roman Gaul. This wasn't just a raid, it was a mass migration. For years, they roamed through Gaul, fighting, pillaging, and searching for a new home. They were pushed by the Huns from the east and pulled by the crumbling authority of the Western Roman Empire. By 409 AD, the Vandals, along with the Alans and Suebi, crossed the Pyrenees Mountains into Hispania, modern-day Spain. For the next 2 decades, they carved out territories for themselves. But Roman and Visigothic pressure was relentless. They were a people constantly on the move, always looking over their shoulder. They needed a permanent, defensible home. And their ambitious new king, a man named Gaiseric, had a wildly audacious idea. He looked south, across the narrow Strait of Gibraltar, to the richest prize of all, Roman North Africa. Gaiseric was one of the most brilliant and ruthless leaders of his time. Lame from a fall from a horse, he was physically unassuming but possessed a mind of incredible strategic genius. He understood power, politics, and, most importantly, the sea. In 429 AD, under his command, the entire Vandal people, around 80,000 men, women, and children, gathered their belongings and prepared to cross into Africa. It was an all-or-nothing gamble. Why Africa? This region was the breadbasket of the Roman Empire. Its vast fields of grain fed the city of Rome itself. Its ports were hubs of Mediterranean trade, and its cities were wealthy and cosmopolitan. Control Africa, and you control Rome's lifeline. Gaiseric knew this. The crossing itself was a logistical masterpiece. Using a fleet of ships, they transported their entire nation across the strait. Once they landed, their campaign was a lightning-fast blitz. The Roman administration in Africa was in disarray, weakened by internal power struggles. The Roman general Bonifacius, who had initially been in conflict with the imperial court, found himself completely outmatched by Gaiseric's forces. The Vandals swept eastward along the coast. They besieged the city of Hippo Regius for over a year. It was during this very siege that the city's famous bishop, the great Christian theologian St. Augustine, passed away, witnessing the end of the Roman world he knew. After years of relentless campaigning, Gaiseric set his sights on the ultimate prize, Carthage. Founded by the Phoenicians centuries earlier and rebuilt by the Romans, Carthage was the second largest city in the Western Empire. It was a jewel of the Mediterranean, with a formidable harbor and massive wealth. In 439 AD, Gaiseric achieved the unthinkable. He captured Carthage, likely through a surprise attack, taking the city almost without a fight. The fall of Carthage sent shockwaves across the Roman world. With this single stroke, the Vandal Kingdom was born. From his new capital in Carthage, Gaiseric didn't just rule a territory, he commanded the sea. The Vandals, who had been a landlocked people just a generation earlier, rapidly transformed into the new masters of the Mediterranean. They commandeered the Carthaginian shipyards and built a formidable fleet. They became, for all intents and purposes, a pirate kingdom. Their ships raided Sicily, Sardinia, Corsica, and the Balearic Islands, seizing them and adding them to their growing maritime empire. They plundered coastal towns all over the Mediterranean, striking fear into sailors and merchants. Rome, once the undisputed master of the sea, was now at the mercy of Vandal pirates. The climax of Gaiseric's reign came in 455 AD. The Roman Emperor Valentinian III was assassinated, creating a power vacuum in Rome. Seeing his chance, Gaiseric sailed his fleet directly up the Tiber River to the gates of Rome itself. The city was defenseless. Pope Leo I went out to meet Gaiseric and pleaded with him to spare the city from fire and slaughter. Gaiseric agreed, but on one condition: he would be allowed to systematically plunder the city for 2 weeks. For 14 days, the Vandals methodically stripped Rome of its wealth. They emptied the imperial palace, took treasures from the temples, and even removed the gilded roof tiles from the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus. They didn't burn the city to the ground, but the psychological impact was devastating. The former master of the world was being looted by a so-called barbarian king from Africa. This event cemented the word vandalism in our language, forever associating their name with destruction, even if their sack of Rome was more of an organized plunder than a mindless rampage. Life inside the Vandal Kingdom was complex. Gaiseric and his successors ruled as absolute monarchs. The Vandals were Arian Christians, a different branch of Christianity from the Nicene or Catholic faith practiced by the majority Roman African population. This religious divide created constant tension. The Vandal ruling class seized the great estates and wealth of the Roman aristocracy, while the local population was often subjected to persecution and high taxes. However, for a time, the kingdom was prosperous. Trade continued, and Carthage remained a vibrant city. They minted their own coins, maintained Roman administrative structures, and sponsored building projects. It was a strange hybrid world, a Germanic warrior elite ruling over a sophisticated Roman African society. But the Vandal Kingdom's strength was also its weakness. Its power was concentrated in the genius of one man, Gaiseric. After his incredibly long reign of nearly 50 years, his successors lacked his cunning and foresight. Internal strife weakened the kingdom, and their persecution of the Catholic population gave the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, a perfect excuse to intervene. In 533 AD, the Byzantine Emperor Justinian the Great, dreaming of reconquering the lost western provinces, sent his brilliant general, Belisarius, to Africa. The Vandal army, led by their last king, Gelimer, was overconfident and unprepared. Belisarius landed his forces and, in a swift and decisive campaign, defeated the Vandals in 2 major battles. Gelimer fled, but was eventually captured. Belisarius marched into Carthage in triumph, reclaiming Africa for the Roman Empire less than a century after it was lost. The Vandal Kingdom collapsed as quickly as it had appeared. The Vandal people were scattered, some were conscripted into the Byzantine army and sent to the Persian frontier, while others simply assimilated into the local population. Within a generation, they had vanished from history. The Vandal story is a fascinating chapter in the fall of Rome. They were more than just destroyers. They were adaptable, opportunistic, and for a short time, they built a unique kingdom that challenged the very foundations of Roman power. Their mastery of the sea and their daring capture of Africa and sack of Rome itself show them to be one of the most successful and impactful of all the migratory peoples of the late antique world. Their kingdom may have been short-lived, but their legacy, immortalized in the word vandalism, ensures they will never be forgotten. Thanks for watching. If you found this story of the pirate kings of Carthage interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten history. See you next time.